Hi friends, it's Amy. Welcome to my bookish life. Today I want to check in on my reading from June 22nd through the 30th and wrap up my reading for the month of June. So let's get to it. I want to apologize for the lighting. This is the only time that I have to record and I can't find a spot that has decent lighting. So this is what we have and this is how we're going to roll, and it's totally fine. So the last week of June, I finished 3 books. The first one I finished was Honeymoon Homicide by B.A. Trimmer. This was an arc that I got from Gemma Halliday Publishing. It's a cozy mystery. It takes place in Hawaii. It's really fun, kind of funny, and I really enjoyed it. One thing that I didn't love is that after the amateur sleuth is confronted by the murderer goes through all of the steps that were taken, yada yada yada. The very last thing that happened then is the sleuth telling all of her friends the exact same thing that the murderer had just relayed. And we don't need to know that anymore. So I'm like, no. Why are we going through this? We don't need to. It's not necessary, right? So I gave it 4 stars just really because of that. That just really it felt longer than it needed to be, but it wasn't that long of a book. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was funny. I love this series. It's so fun. But it didn't have everything that I look for in a cozy mystery. So there you go. I actually lied. I finished 4 books in the last week of June. So the next book that I finished was A Fire Sparkling by... oh no, I didn't write her name down. Jane McLean? McLean is her last name. I will obviously put a picture of it here. I got this through KU and it was available in audio and digital, and I loved this book. Jill is the main character. She catches her significant other in a compromising position with somebody younger, and so she goes home to visit her dad, and while she is there, her dad, who lives with his mom just to kind of help out and just be there, is exploring the attic and finds some pictures that bring about a bunch of questions. When Grandma gets home from volunteering at the nursing home, she is confronted and goes on to tell the story of when she was a young woman during World War II, and it's fabulous. It just takes you through this whole thing. You feel like you're there. The descriptions are absolutely amazing. One of my coworkers recommended this book to me, and I am so glad that she did because I loved it. And I am definitely going to pick up more that this author writes, even though I can't remember her name. Definitely will be picking up more of her books because it's beautiful. Mwah. The next book that I finished was Happy Place by Emily Henry. I was reading this book on Sprints on Destiny's channel on Friday, and I was about 100 pages from the end when we were done with Sprints, and I ended up finishing it that night, or that next morning at like 1 o'clock. This book had me absolutely captivated. Once I got into it, it took a little bit longer than I wanted to get me hooked, But once I was hooked, I was absolutely hooked. I could not stop delving into this relationship between Wynn and Harriet and how it went wrong, and how it could, how they could come back to at least be friends again. Harriet and Wynn are a couple in a friend group, and they break up during the course of the year. And Harriet is so ashamed and doesn't know how to tell her friends, and so she kind of hides it from them. And in doing so, it kind of makes things awkward when they're all invited to the cabin that they meet at once a year, this group of friends. I felt a lot of emotions reading this book. I know that there were a lot of mixed feelings about this book, but I absolutely loved it. And Destiny put this kind of on my radar a little bit more, but it was one of my 12 by 12 books for my Instagram challenge, and book perusing put this on my radar. And I am so glad, because it was delightful. All the Emily Henry I will gladly take. The last book that I finished in the month of June was Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I read this because my TBR challenge card was to read the second in a series. I forgot my cards. Where are my cards? I don't know where my cards are. I will need to choose another one in a little bit. But I really liked this one. I loved the podcast element that came into it. It was absolutely mixed media, which is so fascinating to read and be involved in. I was able to get my hands on an audio copy of this, and I absolutely was reading with my eyeballs the entire time that I was listening. And I have to say that that's the way to go, because there are pictures in here that aren't actually included in the audio that might actually cause probably not some confusion, because they're spoken about within the context, but it just kind of adds more to be able to see those pictures in terms of the text. And I just really loved this book. I really loved how all of the parts came together. A friend of Pip's goes missing on the memorial of Andy Bell, whose murder was solved in the first book, and the police don't really want to do anything about the murder, or the police don't really want to do anything about the disappearance. This friend is 24 years old. It really just kind of seems like a case of leaving on their own, and they don't really see it as a high priority. And so Pip, against her better judgment and her declaration, decides that she needs to get involved, especially when her friend asks her to. So we have Pip back, we have Ravi back, who is just, oh, I love Ravi. He's such a wonderful character. Kara is back, and she just brightens the story. And I really, really like this series. I love how it's told. I love the storytelling. I love how this was a little bit different of a format than A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. It did not take me long to read this. I was enthralled from the start to the end, and I loved it so much. So I will at some point get to the third, hopefully not as long as it took me to get to the second. But we'll see. So that's it. Let me pause here, and I'm going to go get my TBR cards and grab my new challenge. Okay, so we have gone through a one-word title, a book that takes place 100 years ago, and a second book in this is now the second book in a series that I've already started. So I'm gonna grab a new challenge. Here we are. A cover the color of the shirt you're wearing. I mean, I have a lot of options here. There's a lot of colors there, but I see a book right there that absolutely fits. Hold on. Okay. Look at this. Look. And it yeah. I need to get back to this. I started reading this last summer and I got to page 128. That's abysmal. I was really enjoying it. I don't know why I stopped. I was reading it with Destiny and Destiny finished it. I didn't. So I should really restart this. And I just feel like it just matches the vibe. I mean, look at this color and this color. Like, it just feels like a good reason to put this book, to add this book onto my TBR. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say that I'm going to read this book this summer, because I feel like I owe it to Destiny to actually finish this book that she already finished, that we were supposed to read together, and I completely failed. So it fits, it works, that's what I'm going to do. So adding that to the TBR. I'll have to start over. I'm hoping that maybe I can skim a little bit. We'll see. All right, I'm going to put up the graphic of the books that I read in the month of June, and we're going to do some superlatives. So I try to do 5, but then I usually get carried away and I do a whole lot more. So we will see what I end up doing here. Oh, least likely to read more by this author. Honestly, I did not dislike any of the books that I read. I didn't even go through my stats. Let's backtrack and look at my stats. I read 11 books. Okay, I gave 3 5 stars, 2 4.5 stars, 5 4 stars, and 1 3.5 star. The 3.5 star that I gave was for 14 Days, which is an anthology written by a whole bunch of different authors. And it wasn't the writing that I didn't like about that. It was just, I don't know. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, actually, it probably is more of a 4 star because I really did enjoy it. So, you know, I gave mostly 4 and 5 stars this month, which is not all that different. I mean, I don't think that I'm going to read the rest of the My Father's Dragon series. So maybe that's it. Like, I don't plan on reading more from that author because I'm probably good just reading the first one. It just felt very well-rounded to me. I thought it was great. I don't feel the need to read the rest of the series. So I think that would be the author that I'm least likely to read more from. Ruth Stiles Gannett. Just, you know, and honestly, like 14 Days was edited by Margaret Atwood, and I'm not like super intrigued by Margaret Atwood's novels, so I don't know that I would read a lot of books from her, but I don't really have a reason for it. I'm just not super intrigued by them. So it's not with prejudice. I mean, I don't have a reason for saying I'm not going to read any more books by her. I might at some point feel compelled to read The Handmaid's Tale. I just haven't up until this point. So I think the author of My Father's Dragon is the one that I'm least likely to read more, and not really for any reason. I have literally no reason for that. Okay, next we have, most likely to read more. So most likely to read more, I'm going to have to say Holly Jackson and Emily Henry and Jessie Q. Sutanto. I'll definitely read more of the author of A Fire Sparkling, who I can't think of right now. I will for sure read more of her books. So everybody else. I guess is my answer there. Most popular. So the most popular book that I read was probably The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. That is the book that I was most influenced by others to read because I wanted to watch the TV show. And I think I will continue on with the series as well, but I think that would be the most that I was most influenced to read The Duke and I because other people have been watching and reading the series and the TV series. So so that would definitely be the one that I was most influenced. Probably Happy Place would be a close second to that. Yeah. Best side character? Oh, dear. I think I'm going to go with, in Good Girl, Bad Blood, Ravi. Ravi is such a wonderful character, and I just love him as a character. I think the side characters really make A Good Girl's Guide to Murder what it is, because the amount of love and support that Pip has is what makes her able to do what she does and stay doing what she does. And I think that is really amazing and wonderful. And I love that that's part of the story. And I love how that rounds out what we see. So I think that best side character, I think definitely is Ravi. Overall, I think the book has the best side characters. And I think a close second would be Didn't See That Coming. I think YA books in general, for me, tend to have the best side characters because a lot of times the main characters in YA feel very whiny and angsty. Probably angsty is the better word than whiny. But I think these side characters help the main characters see how they're acting and how they can make things better. And I think that I usually see the merit of the side characters a lot more in YA books that I read, just in general, and I just think that that's really cool. So I read 2 YAs. Honestly, both of them had fabulous side characters. The 13th Circle had really great side characters as well. I really loved both of the main characters. I loved how they were characterized and how you could see the differences between them and how they bridged the differences between them. I just loved that as well. Best audiobook is the next one, and the audiobook that I would say is definitely the best is Good Girl, Bad Blood. It's a full cast audio. It's really well done, excellent production, really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. It has just a lot of different elements to it, and I really liked that. I also really liked the audiobook for A Fire Sparkling. It was really well done as well, but it definitely didn't have the production value that A Good Girl's Guide to Murder had as a full cast audio, whereas A Fire Sparkling did not. It did have multiple narrators, though. I will definitely give it that. So yeah, how many have I done? 1, 2, 3. Did I really only do 4? Coziest mystery I would have to give to the one cozy mystery that I read this month, and that is Honeymoon Homicide. I think that's the only one. Yep. Homicide Honeymoon. I don't know why I can't say that. It's Succession. I really did enjoy that, but yeah, I'll have to go to the one cozy mystery that I read. All right. That's probably enough. We're getting on to 25 minutes of raw footage, so we better stop there. I hope you like this video. Let me know what you read in the month of June. I would love to know what your favorite book was, and I would love to know what you think of any of the books that I've talked about today, any of the books that I read this month. Let me know down in the comments. I love to hear from you down there. Commenting, liking, and subscribing really help my channel grow, and I so appreciate you for doing that. I hope you're finding something wonderful to read, and until next time, happy reading. Bye.